with me. I yes myself into like all sorts of situations. I guess it's because I want to please people. I don't want them to be upset with me, but it ends up getting me into all sorts of trouble. Like the time I yes myself into basically a drug deal in high school, or well, more recently, there was this one time I was at a garage sale and I'm just there for the Nintendo games, which the guy actually had, but somehow I yesed myself into a meeting for, I mean, it basically was a pyramid scheme. It had something to do with like alternative energy. Like instead of using the regular municipality, whatever. The thing is, it was some sort of pyramid scheme. But this latest time, I ended up yesing myself into fixing this lady's computer at her house, and I just met her at the drop-off dock for a thrift store. She was dropping off stuff and looked at me, not an employee. You know, I wasn't wearing like a little logo on my shirt or anything. But she asked whether I knew anything about computers, and she wanted to know like, well, she wanted a computer repair shop to come over to her place, but nobody was offering these services. I mean, especially during these times, it's understandable, right? So I asked what her issues that she was having with her computer, and I figured I could just tell her to do this, this, and this. And you know, the next thing you know, she's like, "Can you come over my place and fix it?" She said she would pay me, and she just gave me her number and her address, and I said I would give her a call on the weekend. You know, at this point, I didn't even give her my name. I hadn't given her my number. I could have just ended it right there. You know, I have way too much to do. Like, I mean, beyond, let's just say I had everything done in my normal life. If I wanted to get things, like I have so many cool ideas I want to get done for just YouTube, right? But yeah, way too much to do. But it's getting tougher to afford living here, and I could use the money. I thought she could also go back to the thrift store and ask, you know, who I was. They know my name there. They actually know my number too. So I didn't want them to think I was a liar. So I called her on Saturday afternoon. And I asked about her computer problems. And suddenly I'm in this conversation about wildfires, COVID, conspiracy theories, and I'm coming over her house at 10 a.m. I mean, at this point, I still could have abandoned the whole thing. I could have called her back and said, you know what, I actually have a bunch of things to do. But I wake up early the next morning. You know, I feel like I needed another hour of sleep. But I gather my things up and I get a bag of water. I have one of those rollable bags of water. And I bike 40 minutes to her house. I get there and I'm looking for the doorbell. It's not normal. Like, there's a keypad to the left of the door. There's this giant bulbous kind of silver keypad thing around the actual doorknob itself. And then there's this black plastic pill-shaped protrusion thing to the right of the door, just near the doorknob, with the word Nest on it. And I mean, she had this place locked up like Fort Knox, but it was just the door, right? What about the windows? I mean, in Philadelphia, they have bars on the windows, and you know, if you have all these cameras, it's nice, but it's not really going to prevent the crime from happening in the first place. So, I mean, yeah, maybe if it was one of your neighbors, you could confront them about that kind of stuff. But even in those situations, I've heard, like, you know, you get stuff stolen, and you might not even get it back immediately because they need it for some investigation. You might not even get it back for a long while. So, anyways, the pill thing had a camera on it and a little round button, and I pressed the button, and it actually makes a ding dong noise. But it wasn't. It actually came from the pill. It didn't. I didn't hear it inside the house. So I pressed the button, and I'm waiting there a minute, two, and then I ring the bell again. Another minute passes. No answer. Right. I'm right about to go into my backpack to get her phone number, and she comes to the door, and she's talking before she even gets the door open. Uh, Apparently, she had woken up right as or because I rang the doorbell. She's all disheveled, and her makeup is old. She's wearing makeup, but she has like this haggard look, and she has this dog which is going nuts. Because the dog doesn't know me. But guys, I don't know. I'm not a fan of dogs. They're loyal to their masters, and I don't know how to make myself feel welcome. I don't even really want to pet them too because they usually, I mean, I think they're dirty. I usually end up getting nipped and just an earful of barking. So while her dog is going through spates of barking exhaustion and licking its own crotch, I guess she takes me into her kitchen and offers me cookies, which apparently she baked at midnight because, obviously it makes more sense with the schedule of how things are going today. But yeah, oh yeah, I forgot. When I talked to her on the phone, um, we want to be safe here, guys. So I said, if you kept the fans running, if you had the windows open, we wore masks, that would be fine. She lives alone with her dog. I don't know anybody. I actually got tested in July. I felt safe. She went on to say like she has HEPA filters running in every room and how she has them getting replaced, which she did. I saw them like um, on the floors of every room, and she says she gets the filters replaced just recently. She had the AC running constantly. It's like you know it's like the ideal scenario to stage an ER waiting room in her house. So, anyways, I said I was okay and I didn't want any cookies. I brought water, and she escorts me to the back where she has a pool and starts cleaning it. Basically like we're breaking the ice at this moment. I get it. But she goes off like, "Oh, this is my big raft. I like to relax on here in my swimsuit and take in the sun. But with all the soot coming down, I had to clean this pool 3 times, and all the while I'm just okay, yes. But yeah, finally she takes me up to where she has her computer, which is upstairs. But when I was on the phone with her, she actually said we might actually could work outside. I don't see why, because her computer was this desktop thing. So she takes me upstairs. We're passing her dog, which at this point it's like having a heart attack from licking its crotch. And it's like grunting every time it's leaning over because it's like trying to fold its own belly while it's licking its chops. Anyways, we get to her computer room and I sit down, and the computer takes like forever to boot. Like I think it took like 5 minutes. But she also has like 50 million passwords to log in. Not really, but she has a password on boot, like before you even get into Windows, and then another one at the Windows login screen, which I find strange because for someone who lives alone, why is she really worried about anyone accessing her computer? But she was talking about how she's really wants to disconnect from everything. She wants to get rid of her phone and get rid of Wi-Fi, and all the while she's going on about talking about renovating this house, which we're currently in, and the history of it, and the history of her family, and all of her jobs and past boyfriends. I'm barely able to keep my focus on the job I came to do. I'm spending more time about her life in Cabo Wabo and Alaska than on the computer. But yeah, and every time she talks to me, she's like, well, not every time, but sometimes she walks out of the room, and I feel like I have to follow her because it would be rude, you know, like I'm supposed to be paying attention to what the conversation we're having. So she takes me around her house and she's like, "Oh, there used to be a wall here and I knocked it out, and then there was a closet here, and there used to be no insulation. I put this insulation in, and her father dug the pool himself, and he put in the tennis court." And she takes me back onto this second story deck, which I find really awesome to have. You know, like it had stairs going down to that first area with the pool and everything. But oh yeah, you know, in California, this is the first time I've ever encountered it. But apparently, there's this law where they make you put an alarm on any door that leads out into an area with a pool, and it goes off while she's opening the door. But I'm thinking like, wow, we live in such a nanny state here. Um, you know, we can't even have like, you know, like we can't even rely on common sense and parenting skills. We have to make the state you know, insure us and tax us and punish us if we don't do these things. Which is like, I mean, if your kid falls in the pool, isn't that punishment enough? So this thing's going off. It's blowing up my drones, and she walks right up to it like she has no problem. I mean, I could think maybe it's because of her age or something, but she removes the battery, and now she's talking about her neighbor and how he's attacking her tree line. And he's pulling down her fence with his ivy, and she's all stressed out, and she just wants to get into her swimsuit and relax on the raft. Guys, this is the second time, I think. It could have been the third, but I all the while in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me? I'm a lonely guy, you know. I don't get any compliments ever. I have bad face days. But guys, this lady was a mess. I mean, she wasn't a slob. She was like a used skinny Sally Star performing in an off Vegas Strip venue, you know. I saw her briefly without her mask on when she opened the door before she put it on real quick. But, you know, the old makeup, the mussy hair, and the bouts of crying. Anytime she talked about her family members and how they're upset with her and how she's stressed out by the house renovations and she can't reach her 90-year-old mother. I mean, these are all things you can get upset about, but just like you, like, just to fall apart like a tissue every time. It's I don't know. Later on, she would go into showing me her security system. I mean, this lady was she maybe she was on something like one of those sleep medications that makes your head screwy. But she's showing me her security cameras, the feed she has running, and she goes like, this is midnight 2 nights ago. Do you see those? I'm like, yeah, they're bugs. You know, there's these things whipping across the screen. She's like, no, they're ghosts. Look how they're coming from the ground. I was like, you know, she's like, do you believe in ghosts? And I was like, no. But I'm just trying to wrangle this conversation back into some semblance of normalcy. But I'm saying, like, you know, if you give me the proper scientific evidence that can be... I'm talking like nerds, okay? And this lady was a mess of stress. I mean, I don't know. If this lady was Scarlett Johansson, maybe I would entertain the idea. But it's just... I don't know. It just seems... It almost... You know what? It seems wrong to deal with crazy that way, you know? Because they're obviously not... They don't have their wits about them. So... You know, if Scarlett Johansson was this fiery ball of hot, sexy mess, I don't know, it'd just be wrong, right? So, anyways, I found a bunch of things that were slowing down her computer, and I was struggling to get those things done because, I mean, even then, like, when we finally went back to the computer, she was talking about how she had a false stroke on 9/11 when she woke up to the second plane crashing into the building. And she's talking about how the cereal's falling out of her mouth. I don't know about you guys though, but anytime somebody talks about 9/11, I get thrown into a must respond mode, because maybe it's because I'm East Coast and I visited the towers several times during my life, more so New York City in general, But it's a major historical. What were you doing when? And but yeah, this lady starts going off into all these conspiracy theories about that. Apparently, uh, she went to the doctors that day, but apparently the faux stroke she had was caused by stress. Well, no shit. It caused some nerve to get pinched, and either way, nothing's straight with this woman. It's kind of like I'm trying to get the conversation back on track, and so I can fix her computer, but it's like, like a fire hose, or like a python that has its own muscles and is trying to like work its way out of my hands. I probably would have been done in less than an hour if she hadn't talked to me at all. Maybe not. I don't know. The computer was really slow at start, but yeah, she left me alone. She said like, "Oh, I'll leave you alone. I might head off into the pool." I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, this the next time I turn my head, is she gonna be like standing there in a bikini, and this is gonna turn into like some real life porno?" Um, like stepson fixed his computer, but lady has no money to pay. But anyways, now like she ended up like screwing off in her bedroom or something like that. But she comes back into the room eventually and starts talking about her family and all of her trips around the world. And here's a picture of her in her 20s in the Bahamas in a bikini. And here's her mother. It's like almost like spilling out of her own bikini, because it was like they were sun tanning. She's showing me pictures of the house before it was even built, like all because the area, like, it was built up, I think she said it was like in the 60s. And here are her pot smoking neighbors, which I'm surprised she wasn't on anything. Like I said, maybe she was on some sort of one of those sleep medications that make you kind of crazy. But yeah, at this point, I remember having like this massive, well, not massive, but like I'm starting to get this headache in the back, and it's not the ladies and her jabbering. Could it be COVID? No, it's not COVID. Basically, I hadn't had a drop of water all day, and I barely had anything before I biked 40 minutes over here. I didn't even go to the bathroom. I just didn't feel welcome, and also like in these times sometimes you get paranoid anyways, and even though I felt safe going over there, I'm like, if I open the water bottle, then there's stuff floating around the air. If she was sick, I don't know. Anyways, I didn't even think about it really until I started getting this massive brain screwing headache. Anyways, the thing is, anytime I'm working on a computer, I'm also getting slowed down by these stupid passwords she has. These two password screens. And then I replaced the battery on her computer, the motherboard itself, because anytime we were in Windows, the time wasn't getting set properly. And even though I set it to automatically update, it wouldn't keep up. And I knew that had to do with like an old battery. So I told her that she would need a new CR2032 battery, which apparently, she had a bunch of them on hand. So I replaced that, and I need to get into BIOS so I can make sure all the defaults were set up properly. And, anytime you do that, things get cleared. So I wanted to get into the BIOS, but of course that thing's padlocked. And so we spent another hour or so trying to get rid of it. And anytime I'm searching on Windows to see if there's like, when we're logged into Windows, I'm trying to see if there's a default password for uh, BIOS for her type of computer that she has, the model number, whatever. But she's leaning over my shoulder and reading the search results, and she's getting really paranoid about things she's reading that have nothing to do, like she understands anything about it. She obviously didn't, but she's clicking on random files on the computer, and you know, she asked me, "Oh, where are my pictures?" In the middle of all this. So I show her where her pictures was, because I actually did see like all her pictures were stored in that special Windows uh, picture folder. I mean, like, what is going on here? This is like I'm in a fun house, and I'm in one of those mirrors that distort your reality. So, you know, I'm just I'm constantly being thrown about here. God, this is. Anyways, I get to the point where I need an out. Um, I did a bunch of work on her computer, but yeah, it's a hell of a lot faster than when I got there. But it was still. I feel like it could still be smoother. And I noticed that she was running 6 gigs of RAM on Windows 10, but apparently only 5 gigs were being used for some reason. Again, another reason why I wanted to get into that BIOS. So I suggested getting 16 gigs of RAM. And, I looked up what motherboard she had, the type of RAM it supported, the speeds or whatever. And I find her a link to Amazon, the exact RAM she needs. Bam, I've done my job. You get somebody else to install it. Of course, she wants me to install it. So she's like, "Oh, can you come next weekend?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I don't know. I don't. I mean, I think it's the money. It's the money. Obviously, I'm thinking if I were an actual professional computer repair technician, um, these people, they are just like anybody who comes over to your house to do some work. They must have something to shut people down, or else they can't get to their next appointment. I think I was there maybe 5, 6 hours. Um, but yeah, at this point, like I said, I'm trying to work myself out, and so she's like, how much do you want?" And again, I don't know. I'm not a professional. I'm just some random Joe who knows stuff about computers. She wanted to pay me by the hour, and she said like $20. Is that $20 an hour? Is that enough? And I was like, hell yeah. And that's, you might go like, wow, that's quite a bit of money. But she was living in like a $2 million house. It's not that big. It was 2 stories high. Yeah, it had the pool and the tennis court, but there really wasn't much property there. There was no front yard. Um, yeah, there wasn't much property. But in California, a place the size of a 2 bedroom apartment, or even a little, it could be even less. Maybe there's a garage, maybe not. It's $500,000 if you're living in like, I don't know, around a metropolitan area like LA or San Francisco. So $20 an hour off the books, mind you. Yeah, that's more money than I make now. It's like double. Is 100 enough? Yeah, I'll take 100. I mean, of course. Uh, yeah, but of course she has like $48 with her. So yeah, and I don't want to leave her without any money because I'm Mr. Nice Guy. So I said I'll take 20, and she's like, "I'll pay you the rest later." But she actually gave me 40, and she said she would pay me the next time I came over. I shouldn't be complaining. I got paid to throw my day away, right? But yeah, I'll come over next Sunday, and you know, maybe she'll be in that bikini. All right, all right, all right. Let's. There have been boxes that have been stacking up, and night.